So now I want to talk about vision just very quickly, and I'll wrap this up, I promise. We were in the year 1999-2000 were very dark times for the school. We were at that time an after-school program in Los Alamitos, and we discovered that within 2 years, 3 years, we were not going to have a home anymore. So we had 1 year to find a new home, or the Orange County High School of the Arts would have ceased to exist. I was introduced by Mayor Polito here into Santa Ana, a developer, and this developer took plans that we had for building a school in Los Alamitos, and over a weekend developed the design for the Orange County High School of the Arts campus that we are now in. Even more extraordinary, we had 6 months, and he built out the entire school in 6 months. And did I mention we didn't have any money? And so he financed the whole construction himself with the belief that we would find the money. And then the school opened to tremendous success, and 1 year into the school, we were, I'd say, borderline bankrupt. And this gentleman made a huge donation, which made it possible for us to keep the doors open that year so that we could continue to build enrollment and build the program. Just like Lou and Margie Webb believed in the school back in 1987, this gentleman not only believed in the school, but with his heart and with his soul made it happen. And I'd like to have you join me in thanking and celebrating, and I'd like to have him come to the stage, Mr. Michael Harrah. So Mike, again, and the stories could go on in terms of how he has always been there to support the school and how he's always believed in us. So Mike, in honor of your generous support, I want to announce that as of January of this year, we're going to be naming our Symphony Hall the Michael F. Harrah Symphony Hall.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that it's been a long journey. It's been 10 years, 11 years now, and the High School of the Art has meant a lot to me. I'm a musician myself, and I saw these kids for the first time when I first met Ralph at a concert that they had, and it was just an incredible experience. And I thought if I could do anything in the community to help build that back, this was the school I was going to do it for. And when I met Ralph, like he was saying, Miguel Polito, the mayor, brought us together, and I have quite a few buildings downtown, and the first day I met him, we're walking down the street, and I said, this is one of the high-rise buildings I have, and Ralph says, that's perfect. I go, that's not it. We get a little further down the street, and I said, we just acquired this one. He goes, it's perfect. I go, that's not it. Then we got to get 1010 North Main, and I said, okay, you can say it, Ralph. That's perfect. He said, that's perfect. I go, well, that's it. That's your new school. And I said, we're going to build this for you. And Miguel Polito said, let's all work together and make this happen for Santa Ana and our community and Orange County and for these kids, these very, very talented kids. And we did that. And it was the next thing he says, well, we kind of have a design. I'll show it to you. So he did, and I saw the design, and then I redesigned it the next day to his campus. We put it all together, and then he said, I need to have it built in 6 months. I said, okay, I can do that. And then so I said, well, who's going to finance it? He says, well, we don't have any money. I go, Ralph, okay, all right, I'll handle that too. So I borrowed the money from one of my lenders, and they said, gee, have you have any experience in building or operating schools? No, I don't. I said, well, you know what? They took like every piece of property that I own as collateral. And my lovely wife is here tonight. She doesn't know it, but she's going to find out now. But I actually hawked our house for the rest of the money. Probably in big trouble now. So anyways, but it was well worth it. And then I went further, and I actually designed and built this theater myself and put this together for the school. And a few years back, and it wasn't the right time for them, for the theater, so I opened it and ran it for 6 years, and today is a really, really glorious and a wonderful day that I can hand the keys to you, Ralph, and that these kids can enjoy this for the rest of their lives.
If Mr. Michael Harrah could please join me here at this time. Just come around, Mike, and stand on my right. Just walk around, yes, walk around.
Jesus loves you, Brother Mike.
Yeah, Michelle's taking a picture of Mike because he's wearing a tie, and all of you know him. This is a very special occasion. And as he approaches, let me just tell you a few things about Mike Harrah and why I want to give him this very special award this evening.
Mr. Mayor, good evening.
How are you, Michael?
Good, thank you.
This is a recognition for being a pioneer.
Recognize me with my suit on?
He wants to know if I recognize him. No, I don't.
Yeah.
But if I look up and I see the beard, then I start to recognize Mike. Look, Michael is a developer. He's a restaurateur. He's just a wonderful asset to this great city of Santa Ana. I remember so many stories, Mike Harrah stories. Once we were with my son Miguel, who was about 8 years old at the time. He's now 18. We were outside of what is now Original Mike's, and it used to be United Auto. And it had been empty for maybe a decade, boarded up, nothing happening. City owned a piece of property next to it, and really the big debate was, do we tear it down or can it be something? And I'll tell you, we went into that building, and Mike will probably tell you the story in a minute, but all of a sudden it was so rough inside that we were kind of like at the door, and Mike just took off, and all of a sudden we were trying to find each other. But Mike's vision to go into that building and to say, look, I can tear this down, I can do that, I can put a window here, I can put a bar here, I can make it all become a dream come true. It's something that he's done over and over and over again. I remember when we had, President Fox that wanted to come visit Santa Ana, and they needed an international business center. I went to Mike. I said, Mike, look, I can get the president of Mexico here, but in 45 days, you have to have offices and computers and phones and a show area. Oh, and by the way, there is no contract. There is no money. If you do this and they come, then you'll lease out the rest of the building and we'll go from there. And Mike did it. In day 35, he was done. And then we had, President Fox here along with 105 media outlets, and it was all because of this guy standing to my right. So Mike is a pioneer. He is a guy that goes the extra mile. I remember when we were finishing the federal courthouse, and we were topping it off, the last beam. And Roger Cooey, may he rest in peace, said, look, I want to introduce you to a real interesting individual. And that individual was Mike Harrah. And Mike, at that time, I had just become mayor. I became mayor like in November of '94, met Mike right after that, and in December of '94, about a week into my term, the county goes bankrupt. And, chaos, $130 million of city money with the county, but the county's bankrupt. What are we going to do? And I remember Mike had a building I believe it's 888 North Main, that he was working with the county, and the county all of a sudden didn't want to do anything because they were bankrupt. So I remember going with Mike to members of the Board of Supervisors back then and getting 5 votes, full votes, all the votes from the county to support that lease and that project. And 20 years ago, he did a sale leaseback. And guess what? Today that building is up because the 20 years have expired. And they're probably going to re-up on their contract, but it's because of Mike's pioneering spirit that these things happen. I mean, I remember, the High School of the Arts. We wanted to bring the High School of the Arts here to Santa Ana. Guess what? They didn't have any money. They didn't have a site. I said, Mike, if you build it, they will come. And he put $12 million of his own money to build the high school to school standards so that they could move from Los Alamitos here to Santa Ana. Later, we got the loans and everything else worked out, but without Mike being a pioneer and taking that first step, this wouldn't have happened. So, and this goes on and on. 1600 North Broadway, where HUD moved their headquarters in. That used to be a building where pencils used to roll off of desks because the slabs were crooked. And Mike went into that building, repoured the slabs, made a beautiful building, and today it's just another beautiful building here in Santa Ana. And again, this goes on and on and on. The Masonic Temple, that building was ready to have permits pulled to be torn down. And Mike stepped in at the last minute and said, I'm going to redo the seismic, I'll just redo the whole thing. And today that building is alive well here in Santa Ana because he stepped in as a pioneer and made the difference. So when I think of pioneers, I think Mike is unique in that sense. I believe that when William H. Spurgeon first founded Santa Ana, I understand that he climbed up a sycamore tree, went all the way to the top, and that's Sycamore Street, by the way, now. He went all the way to the top of the sycamore tree because there was no buildings around. He was the pioneer that began Santa Ana, and he looked around, and they started doing the grid of all the streets and plots and making this a city. That's how Santa Ana started. Well, because of people like Mike Harrah, that I believe are also pioneers, that are willing to climb a sycamore tree or climb a building or whatever and look into the future and say what can be. We've made this a different and a better city. We've made it a city that's unparalleled. And look, I remember in the mid-90s, Mike was down on his luck. Problems in Long Beach, bad recession, we all go through ups and downs. But today, he's an extremely wealthy man. But I think the people that are really wealthy are the people here in Santa Ana because of the difference that he's made. He's taken all these buildings, about 5 million square feet now. They used to be empty. They're now all full, and they're doing, they're doing very, very well. And yes, he likes airplanes. He flies helicopters. He can bench press 500 pounds. When he fell in a helicopter 110 feet, was on his back, people told him he'd never walk again. I went to visit him in the hospital, and guess what he had done? On the ceiling, he had all the drawings for different projects that he was working on. And he broke the machine at the hospital because he was making all these Xeroxes. And they told him, you can't do this. And he said, well, if I can't do this, then I'm out of here. And he pulled himself out of that hospital, and he went to another hospital where they let him put papers on the ceiling, and he bought his own Xerox machine, and he kept working. So look, he is a true pioneer. He is a true pioneer. He's also not afraid of other things like going 100 miles per hour on a jet ski, not a jet ski, a regular ski in the water, and doing it for I don't know how long, but he has a world record in that. We had a young child here some years ago that was part of a Make-A-Wish Foundation, and we needed a Batmobile. Well, Mike has a Batmobile, and he lent us the Batmobile so the kid could ride around in it and make his dream come true. So, Mike, I know he's happily married. He's got 2 Chihuahuas and a big heart and a lot of love for Santa Ana. And he's often there at 4 and at 5 o'clock in the morning at 17th and Main. Not Original Mike's. He goes to Norm's at that hour, and he orders the same breakfast, and he starts his day. So he starts his day here because his heart is here, and because his vision is here. And that's why in a few moments I want to present him the first ever, and maybe the only ever, Pioneer Award, and it'll be the William H. Spurgeon Award. But before I present that, I want to offer Mike the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have much to say after all of that. But it's been a glorious run. It's been so fantastic being here for the last 20 years in Santa Ana. And like the mayor said, when I first got here in '94, my dream was to build the tallest building in the history of Orange County. I was born and raised in Whittier, California, and I've always looked at Santa Ana as a really, really special place. To come out here and to be able to acquire my dream of building one Broadway Plaza, and over the 17 years of going to 143 city council meetings and 119 planning zoning meetings to get it approved, or an election, it's all worth it at the end, because at the end of the day, I believe we're all going to win, and it's all going to be a great, great journey for all of us here in Santa Ana. And it's something that I think over time it will increase the value of all the homes. It will change completely the identity of Santa Ana. It will start the beginning of vertical urbanization, and I believe we're going to be right up there with Staples redevelopment type of thing, and the gas lamp in San Diego, and we're just on the cusp of doing that. And I am honored, and I am proud to be a person here in Santa Ana over the last 20 years to make a difference. And God bless. Thanks.
Michael, I present this to you, Mike Harrah, the first recipient of the William H. Spurgeon Pioneer Award, for all your accomplishments, for your love of this community, for the jobs that you provided, for the vision and leadership, and really for the pioneering efforts. You resurrected so many square feet here in the city, so many buildings, so many things would have been different. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, It's a Beautiful Life, but there's a part in the movie, if you've seen it, where they tell this man, if you hadn't lived, how would the world be different? And he thinks it wouldn't be different. But then, in the movie, he gets a chance to see the world with and the world without him. And without him, it's a much different, a much worse world. Well, without Mike Harrah, I believe Santa Ana would be a much different city today, not the great city that we have, but a lesser city. And it's because of that pioneering spirit, it's because of that vision, it's because of that can-do attitude, it's because of the no quitting, it's because of the persistence, and the ability to execute, the ability to take a dream that a pioneer has and make it a reality, that I think you're deserving of this award, Mike. Congratulations, and thank you for all you've done, and I know you're not finished yet. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mike Hara. And Mike, if you could join me up here, make me look short. I know that, and he does, in fact. I remember clearly.
Are you here?
Somewhere.
Oh, there you are.
I remember clearly the day I met Mike. And in fact, I had heard about this Mike Hara character, with all the respect, that was somewhere in the city making all kinds of miracles happen. And I had heard, well, you got to know Mike. And of course, Mike's the landlord to everyone, if you will. And Mike owns this building and owns this other building. And Mike's done this work and hasn't done this other work. And Mike, and some people are of the opinion that likes to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. But at the end of the day, Mike delivers. And Mike, I do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you made my 12-year tenure quite an exciting experience. I know that we didn't always see eye to eye, but I remember clearly when I walked into Dave Ring's office, and Mike was sitting there, and that's the first time I met him. And within 2 minutes, he had asked me to see if I was willing to give him the YMCA building for $1. And of course I said, no way, Mike, and this is the first time I met him, He goes, I was just putting you to the test. 12 years later, Mike, it's been a long run, if you will. I'm very impressed with what you have done for the city, and thank you for the investment you have given to the city, for believing in Santana when it wasn't popular to believe in Santana, and for sticking around our town. Thank you so much for your contributions. I look forward to your 37-story tower. It's got to happen. Councilmember Biss is sitting in the back, and she wants it to happen too, because we made that happen together when Lisa was here. So congratulations. Mike, do you want to say anything?
Thank you very much. Yes, it's been a glorious 17 years I've been here in Santa Ana since 1995. I started out with a dream of building the tallest building in the history of Orange County, and that dream probably is going to come true here second quarter of 2013. And we're moving forward. We have a lot of things that we've done here in the city that have been a long, glorious run, and some things have been easy to get, and others, well, not so easy to get. And like Claudia was saying, a lot of times we built out a total of 4 million square feet within the city in the downtown area that were once vacated and empty and are now 100% full. Built the Orange County High School of the Arts. It's the #1 rated arts school in the nation, touted as the Juilliard of the West. Then original Mike's, which was a condemned building of United Auto, was built in 1920s, and now is a very successful restaurant and a nightclub here in town. And then we also built the Masonic Temple. I don't know if a lot of people know of that, but we designed and built that out and built it to historic code and seismic retrofit. Then the Pavilion, which we designed and built a 500-seat theater, world-class performing arts theater, and then donated it and sold part of it to the Orange County High School of the Arts. So it has been an incredible, long journey, and I thank the Lord for the experience here in Santa Ana. There is no better place that I would rather be or build in the entire county of Orange. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Now, Mike, one of the best memories I take with me is, of course, for those of you that remember the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the little boy that wanted to be Batman so bad. Well, Mike owns a Batmobile. And in all honesty, when I first saw the Batmobile, I thought, what is Mike going to do with that car? But okay, well, if he could afford to have it, whatever. Well, lo and behold, within a few months after that, that little boy, who was obviously terminally ill, his dream was to become Batman. And the whole day was such a miracle for all of us, if you will. And that's one of the best memories I take with me in the 12 years that I served. And I know that you made that happen, Mike. So thank you so much for that as well. And without further ado, here's a certificate of recognition that looks like gold. It's not, but it comes from the bottom of our heart.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
The Santa Ana skyline is in store for a big change. Developer Michael Harrah plans to break ground next summer on what will become Orange County's tallest building. The Orange County Register reports that Harrah and his partners have obtained financing for the $292 million project, which calls for a 37-story tower in the downtown area. This week, at the Santa Ana City Council meeting, Harrah was recognized for purchasing and renovating a number of landmark properties in the downtown area over the past 17 years. Construction of the new tower is expected to take about 3 years and bring in nearly $3 million a year in property tax revenues to the city.